Hello there, world. Bettina Carey here, and I'm the founder and CEO of We Empower You, the global community, and WeEmpowerYourLife.com, the website. And I'm excited to be here with you today. It's our Wednesday. It's our regular scheduled Wednesday meeting at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I'm so excited because I have with me today a longtime friend and colleague, Lynette Hoy, and she's going to blow your socks off. And so what I'd like to say first and foremost, is it finally time to put getting visible in the marketplace on the front burner instead of the back burner to fuel your business success? My next guest has a mentoring program that may be just your ticket to ignite your future. And with me today is Lynette Hoy. Since 1994, publicity campaign expert, Lynette Hoy has practiced public relations in different capacities, inclusive of founding her firm Fire Talker PR 11 years ago. The Fire Chief, as she's known, has worked on organizations like the National Institutes of Health, the American Cancer Society, ICG Real Estate Investments, and Clos du Bois Wine to get their products, services, and events on the map. Now she mentors C-suite executives and entrepreneurs to increase visibility and credibility, guiding them to become the go-to experts for the media as revenues climb. Her clients have been featured in major media, including CNN, MSNBC, and Fortune magazine, just to name a few. Welcome to the stage. It's so great to have you with me here today, Lynette Hoy. Oh, you're muted.
Thank you so much, Bettina. I'm honored. I'm happy to be here.
So great, so great. So we had you on our radio show last week to talking about your masterclass program that you're coming up with, and we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about that. But first of all, I would love for you to share with folks a little bit more about yourself, because this is just a personal place where we get to really know each other. And that's what we found that helps for the community to know more about you just as a person before we get started into your professional world. Tell us a little bit more.
Well, I have, like you had mentioned, been in public relations work for nearly 27 years, and I have always been a talker. So clearly, being in public relations, I'm in the right place. When I was born, my favorite toy was a plastic phone, and I have dozens of adorable pictures of me with my little foot crossed over my knee, just talking away to Lord knows who, before I could even create words that made sense. So it's always been something that's been a great joy to me all through high school, all through college, and through my career. The gift of the word, I think, is just phenomenal, isn't it? Being able to speak articulately and communicate, I think it's something we all take for granted because it's what we do every day. It's like walking. So I'm really glad to be here, and I'm glad to be sharing one of my gifts. And it's just really exciting to be able to talk about visibility when it's something that we all want deep in our hearts.
Yes, and talk about visibility, everybody needs it, right? It doesn't matter how small or large your business is. This is free advertising, basically. When the media picks up on a story that is all about you, your business, your service, your products, or whatever it is you're doing, it can really be a game changer. So give us an example of the kind of media support that you've been able to offer over the years. And then we'll dive down deeper into your masterclass, which is actually coming up soon.
Yeah, very exciting. Well, some examples of successful media placements really begin with the end in mind, and that's learning how to show up. So what I have done with people is take them on the visibility journey, knowing that at the end of it, they're going to get incredible exposure and get interviewed. So what does that look like? Well, first of all, let me ask you a question. if you show of hands from those that we can see here, I know there's many of you on Facebook and you're going to be raising your hands too. If you could get your message out to millions of people on how you want to change their lives, would you want to do it? Absolutely. And if you could increase your leads by learning how to leverage those media placements, would you do it? Absolutely again. So it all starts with learning how to get visible. And that's something that I've been teaching my clients for many, many years. So it starts with something called an online media kit. And this is also what I'm going to be going into a deep dive with my upcoming masterclass on the 15th. And so let me tell you a little bit about it. It starts with an executive bio, which is much deeper than your 100-word or 50-word bio, because what we want to do is create this spectacular document that the media can use as cut and paste venue. So we're helping them. We're being of service to them. Another one of the items in the online media kit is the backgrounder. And that's your story. That digs deep into why you got into what you do and all the steps along the way in great detail. Now, when there's a feature story being done, and this is a part of what I did over the years, if there's a feature story being done, I would take that backgrounder and I personally would cut and paste parts of it out for the media and say, hey, I know you're doing a piece on XYZ, and I'd love to present you with part of this backgrounder. May I send you the rest of it if you like it? And I was just astounded at the feedback I would get. Lynette, this backgrounder, is this a piece of a larger body of work? I said, well, yes, it's part of the online media kit. And they'd say, oh, I wish you would teach everyone to do this. We love these online media kits. It makes our life so simple. Let me give you another example of that, the Q&A. How many times have we all seen a Q&A as an article, as a feature, right? The media puts out this article, their name's attached to it. Now we're providing them with copy that is pre-approved and ready for them. They can change up the questions a little bit. They can change up the answers a little bit, but we've given them freedom to do that. And guess what? We get to control a bit of the narrative that way. How beautiful is that?
Yeah,
It's phenomenal. So we take that stuff and we just continue to move forward with it.
Yes, and when you can solve the media person's problem with making the story easier for them to write, answering all their questions that they would have asked you anyway, then you really put yourself in a position to have return engagements. Of course, that is always the bee's knees. I've had that happen on a few occasions.
Absolutely.
I must say, it's just really great. So one thing I'm actually aware of, though, is that when people begin to entertain the possibility of being in the media spotlight in any way, shape, or form, they often will think to themselves, oh, me? I have no business calling on the media. Why would they want to talk to me? Who, they're over here and I'm over here. What is it that you could tell someone that could help them to relieve themselves of this great big weight on their shoulder? Because in truth, that's not even true, right? None of what I just said is actually true.
No.
What advice would you give?
Well, first of all, that weight on the shoulders it's like the elephant in the room. And how do we eat an elephant, Bettina?
One bite at a time.
That's right. So part of that chunk is media training. So when you don't know how to show up, you have a story, but you're not quite sure if the media is going to love it. When someone like me says, no, let's formulate that story a little stronger, and I'll show you how to show up strong and how to feel really great about that. And another piece to it is, as I say, that media training. So what that means is the first thing I tell people is go stand in front of the mirror, look yourself directly in the eye, and just start talking about what you're passionate about. It's like, for me, this whole publicity piece, working with people and guiding them, mentoring them through the process, it's magical, because at the end, they're just over the top excited about the fact that they're getting media attention now and that they're prepared to be there and show up. So as part of that looking in the mirror, I then shift it and I say, okay, we're going to role play. And that comfort level, like for being on television, is huge. So if you are looking at your interviewer in the eye, you're in the right place. It's really hard when you're in studio to not look around and look at all the bright lights, and you get intimidated. Oh my gosh, the bright lights. Should I even be here? Yes, you should be here. This is your place. But don't look around and don't look into the cameras that are pointed at you or the monitors, because all of those things are in place so that it's a strong television program, a strong segment. So as part of that, I let people know all that stress is going to be gone and you deserve to be there. All that stress is going to be gone by just looking at your interviewer, because it's that co-host job, that anchor's job to relax you. It's their job. They know how to talk to you and look you in the eye in such a way that you begin to relax. So those are a couple of ways that we do that, Bettina.
Yes, and I also know that you tell people to go and look in the mirror and accept yourself as who you are. You know, the gray hair and the lipstick not quite right. And, you know, maybe your teeth are a little bit purple from drinking wine at night, or whatever the version of yourself that you are. Just dive deep into your heart and just accept who you are, because at the end of the day, people are just looking to hear from you. Whatever your message is, it's a powerful message, generally speaking. So just kind of like leave yourself from be humble about it, right? You don't have to have it all perfect. However, that said, I will say the one difference for looking into the camera is when you're on a virtual screen like we are producing here today, then you do want to be looking directly into the camera. And because that is where your audience actually is living. I'm speaking to Lynette through my camera visual.
That's right.
As opposed to actually seeing Lynette 100% of the time. I see her in my periphery, but not directly. So now that the phone is not so heavy as we're trying to get the job done, you're going to prepare folks to have their bio that is very deep, and then you're going to help them to prepare for pitching the media and the like. So give us an idea of your program. What comes on day one or hour one, or however it's laid out?
Well, first of all, it's April 15th from 12 to 2 Pacific time. And we are going to be taking a fast deep dive into what it takes to build that visibility platform so that we can get noticed. And I liken that visibility platform to a garden that we plant in the backyard. And we till the soil, we enrich it with compost, we seed it, we grow it, we nurture it, and it becomes so beautiful and bountiful that the media can't ignore it. And that's a part of what I'm going to be teaching, is that framework. So a part of that framework is what I touched on earlier with the online media kit. We're going to be going into all the elements of that and what that looks like and why it's important. And then we're going to be looking at the press room, which is a tab on the menu bar at the top of your website. And that's a room on your website that houses not only your downloadable PDF, your online media kit, but it breaks out each individual item. So that link goes to a page on your website. So it's representing the downloadable version. And we've also got things in the press room like our downloadable press images that are approved. We've got things in there like our podcast links and where we've shown up for the media, and also other items that land into that press room we're going to be doing a deep dive on. And then I'm also going to be talking more in depth about the virtual framework as well as the in-person framework for media. So the whole media training piece, and there's lots of fun things in there that I'm going to be including. Let me give you a sample. Here's an uncommon thing that people don't realize they do, and it's very distracting and unprofessional to boot, unfortunately. Now, here you go. Ready? Watch. Isn't that lovely? You just saw my tonsils, and I'm cleaning my glasses. Now, normally, of course, I'd have the little cloth, right? And I'd be talking to you and cleaning my glasses and putting them back on again. Big no-no. The way that we get around that is if you need to adjust your glasses or clean, well, if you need to clean them, don't, or clean them before you go on to be interviewed.
Yep.
And there's nothing wrong with moving your glasses and including it in how you speak. So it's not so overtly obvious. And poking yourself in the middle of the face, that's also a big no-no. So we're going to be going through these fun things, and we're going to make it a little bit more than just a don't do this, but we're also going to be talking about the do's. And it's really fun to go through that process, because the beginning stages and then the ending stages of when we're doing it right it's really a lot of fun to look at both. And we're also going to be jumping into media research. That is so fun. It's really great to be looking at who is our ideal media. Just like we look at our ideal client, we want to look at our top 20. Now you might be saying, top 20, what the heck? Like I have time to look up 20 media. Well, what I'm talking about is, let's say 5 journalists that you find that are your cup of tea, that report on items important to you. And I'll be going into detail on how to do that research. And it's not what you think. So it's fun there. And then looking at your 5 top television and 5 radio, or maybe 2 radio and 7 podcasts, or however that breaks out. But we'll be talking about what that looks like in the research mode. And then we're also going to be talking about things like what a media one sheet looks like. And I'm going to be talking about a real pro briefly that focuses on podcasting and that podcast one sheet. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about her and my own personal experience. And I'm going to save that as a treat for you. So we have a lot of wonderful things planned. It gives me goosebumps. I'm absolutely excited. And I'm just hoping that everyone on this call joins me for this very informative 2 hours. And I've got a nice treat at the end about how people can continue to work with me as well.
Well, this is going to be a wonderful masterclass, and I'm so glad you were here with us today to talk about it. How can folks sign up? I know it's just a 2-second process, literally name and email and enter. So where can folks go to get this sign up form?
Very simple, uncommonpr.net. Simple. You just type in uncommonpr.net. You put that in your search bar and away you go. And up will pop the landing page, give you all that you need to sign up for the event. And Bettina's right, it'll take you a whopping 45 seconds or less, 30 seconds.
Yes, it's really great. And I'm so excited that you were able to put this program together. So for folks that are watching on Facebook Live or you are watching this later in the year, this is a recurring program that you have put together. So we want to make sure that you go to that site each and every time, every quarter or so, however often you're going to do it, Lynette. But this is the first one up at bat. You're not going to want to miss it. I am thrilled to be here asking you questions. Now, I would love to go ahead and ask the audience to ask you some questions as well, so that we've satisfied their want and desire to know more about what it is you're doing. So thank you so much, Lynette, for joining us here today at the WeEmpowerYourLife.com event and show. And I'm going to turn my attention to Princess Wakigo Abraham Pam out of Seoul, Korea, who just launched another book, actually, in her case. And I happened to MC an event with her on Saturday, co-MC with another person, Diane Beal, and she happens to be with us here today. I hope that you are able to unmute there and ask a question, Princess. Always great to have you here. Go for it. Princess, what you got for us? Your mic is unmuted, but we don't hear anything.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now. There you go.
Okay. Good morning. Sorry, I won't be able to put on my video. Nice meeting the speaker. I just want to know more on how do we interview as a group of authors. If we need to have an interview with the example, the book, The Niche. What would be her advice for us?
So that I'm clear, Princess, this is a panel of authors at an event and you want the media to cover it?
Yes.
So what I would advise is you find a reporter that writes about your content and follow them. I don't know how soon your event is, but follow them and read their articles, see their points that they really like to make and what means a lot to them. And then after you get to know them just a bit, read a few of the articles, do some research on them. Then I would get their email address, which is typically very easy to find when you're clicking on their articles. And I would reach out to them and tell them about the event. And there's also another way to do that, and that is by creating a press release. And in the press release, you announce the event in the headline, and then you talk about it in the press release, and you give the media a place to reach out to. So that would be you, so that they can get additional information. And the goal is to invite them to the event. Don't just tell them about it, but invite them to attend.
There you go. And this is the book that is just published. It's called The Niche, and it is founded by Princess Okigo Ibrahim Pam out of Seoul, Korea, along with these other 9 authors. It's just the edition #1. It is available on Amazon. What more can you tell us about your book there, Princess?
Oh, I just wanted to share that the book is a project for the Expert Professional and Business Women's Network International. Is an empowerment project to enable the members generate passive income and also fund the network. Since the network is a non-profit organization, we want to start generating in-house fund to be able to manage our activities across continents around the world. So it's going to be a 5-volume book called The Niche. So right now we already have volume 1 published. We're working with authors for volume 2 and volume 3. And we have an expectation that within 2 years, we'll have created 50 female authentic writers within the publishing house of the Expert Professional and Business Women's Network International. So generally, that is the idea behind this project. Is a legacy project for members and other women outside the network to be able to create a platform for themselves to generate passive income and also to create visibility for themselves.
I love it.
That's fabulous. I just want to add, Princess, that because this is based on a nonprofit and there's so much meat in this and there's so much going on in supporting the world that you are not going to have a hard time getting publicity around it. Is this a virtual event or in person?
It was a virtual event, but I've been getting requests from the co-authors of the book. They want to have individual launching in their various countries because we're scattered in about 7 countries across 4 continents. So as a publishing house, we're working with them to see how we can help them get the physical copies to them in their various countries and help them organize the in-person launching of the book as they desire to do.
That's wonderful. You will have success, I can tell you that.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Any other questions, Princess?
I'm publishing my 2nd individual book, and I would like it's non-fiction, but it's also a little bit academic. So I want to find out how do I go about that.
So Princess, what you're asking is how do you go about publishing it?
No, how do I go about marketing it?
How to do your outreach. There's several different ways to do that, but I would definitely start your process 6 to 12 months in advance. And there was a woman that was on our call just a little while ago, Judy Baker, And I think, Bettina, we have her information and we can put that in the chat for you, Princess. And I really recommend that you reach out to her. She is an expert in this exact thing, and she mentors people in that process.
Yes, Judy
Okay.
will love to help you. I will put her her information in the chat here for you, and before you jet off, because I know it's a different time there, late in the wee hours of the morning, if I'm not mistaken. Is it midnight or 1?
It's about 7:30 a.m. in the morning.
Oh, it is.
I've-
Okay, good.
yeah,
Not too late
I've-
then.
Yeah, I've copied the details given to me. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank you.
great. Yes, we'll make sure that Judy and you get together. And with that said, Princess, it was wonderful working with you. Thank you so much for inviting me to BMC, and of course, then in turn, Diane Beal. We did a really wonderful collaborative with all of these ladies, and we look forward to supporting you as you move forward. That
Thank you very
said,
much.
thank you. I would love to see if there are any other questions in the audience before Lynette signs off on her topic. So let me see if there's anybody else out there. You can either open up your mic or raise your hand. Aggie, you've got your mic open.
I have my mic open and I raised my hand.
Yay.
Yeah, Lynette, that was great. I have, though, a question for We Empower You. So the organization runs these Wednesday meetings, and
Yes.
we have quarterly summits, but I don't see us going out with a press release and getting the media. What advice would you give us specifically for those two events? And then where could either the people on this call, people out in Facebook world, or where could Bettina get assistance with writing that bio, that very in-depth bio, because we could use some updates with your bio on the website. I think this would be a good exercise. And then also writing the press release, some assistance doing that, and distributing the press release or press releases to get more press interest in the upcoming events.
Well, first of all, I'm going to try to remember all of that.
Oh, I know it was long. I get really wordy with my questions. Sorry
That's
about that.
okay. Well, We Empower You is a really strong platform, and informing the media and getting their interest likely will not be difficult. I would be more than happy to get involved and write a press release myself and work with Bettina on that, and also help her with a more in-depth executive bio and do all that I can to help with these events. And typically, the events themselves may or may not be newsworthy, but we can certainly reach out to certain people within the press that focus on these types of events and revolve it around what the problems that you're solving and the unity around it. And that's going to be a bit more newsworthy than the events themselves. But that doesn't mean that we don't touch on the event. And of course, we invite the media as well for either digital or in person.
Thank you so much for volunteering to do that. That absolutely, I'll say yes to that. Great question, Aggie. Chella, do you have a question? Or Vicky? There you go.
First of all, thank you so much for that. I really enjoyed that, and what I enjoy from these meetings when I watch and listen is just the presence of how you are when you're communicating. So that really stood out to me, and so for me, this online presence is very new, and with writing my bio, I feel like it's so small. I've done so much, but it has to do with just the writing in general, and trying to make that more powerful. And then with the online media kit, is that going to help as far as more views on Facebook or Instagram or anything like that? Because that seems really relevant in this realm, is trying to get those numbers up. And for me, like I'm a woman of practice, so I'm good at just showing up and doing kung fu all day and breaking that down into helping people with it or creating self-care. And so these things are just so new for me. I really feel like I'm from the Stone Age when I start talking about
So
these
that's okay. That's okay. That's the beauty of learning. So is that we get to get in there and not feel so stony.
Right.
So first of all, I would highly encourage you to join in on uncommonpr.net and attend that workshop or that masterclass, because you will really learn a lot about these items. And it's important to note that an executive bio reads a little bit like a story. So it's the story of a more executive approach in how you're talking about yourself and your accomplishments. So I'll be talking more about that in the masterclass. And this is a longer document. So what we do is you want to break it up. So I'll be telling you about subtitles and how those work within the process. So think of a resume. A good way to look at it is think of a resume, and then for each area of your expertise and where you've been in your life and what you've accomplished, you want to tell a little mini story around that. So I'll be talking more about that, like I say, on April 15th, but you might think of it in terms of that. And then using this piece, leveraging it for additional outreach on social media is very important, because a whole big piece of publicity is not just reaching out to the media and finding those ideal media and reaching out to them alone. You want to leverage influencers and other folks on social media that share your content and those that engage. And this is a real powerful piece. Think of it like promoting a book, because the online media kit and my signature version of it, it's a more extensive piece, and it really reads a bit like an ebook. You've got a beautiful cover that you create. It comes with a bit of a table of contents that take us to those different pages within the online media kit. And when you highlight this and you talk about it, just like you would a book, or just like you would if you put out a press release, all these things go on social media. So I'll be talking a bit more about that as well. But
Great.
Never hesitate to promote, publicize everything you're doing. I mean, we have this phenomenal thing called the internet, and we've now got so many ways that we can get the information out on various platforms. So I highly encourage you, once you've completed that task of the online media kit and creating it, to leverage it.
Mhm.
Great.
Fantastic. And I feel your pain.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Feeling as if, there's so much to do that's out of your wheelhouse. It isn't doing the services side, it's not doing the coaching side, but you will not regret one single moment of getting your act together, because when that phone rings, and it will ring,
It will.
you will be so much more prepared. And now when the phone rings for me, it takes me a matter of seconds to fill out their form, to send them to a place on my website that has details about me, that, I can easily take anything I've written behind the scenes and modify it in a matter of minutes. It is well worth the time spent. And there's also the process that I've gone through internally that has helped me to get more clear as I'm trying to message what I would say in front of a live audience. What I will say anytime, that whole clarification process, it's like clarifying butter. So at the end of the day, you're going to toss out some curds out to the side, and you're going to end up with just this clarification of your message that is so well worth it, because then it just rolls off of your tongue so greatly that, you will get that 15 minutes of fame that everybody talks about.
Great.
Thank you so much. All these really great questions. We have Vicki in the audience as well. Vicki, do you have a question for us tonight? You are able to open up your mic there. Ask away.
I don't have anything. I don't have any questions right now.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll make sure
Stuffing
to
it in.
link and get yourself signed up. And I noticed one of the comments that you made, which is when speaking to the media, the uhs and knows and the, all of those kinds of things, try to practice in front of that mirror to make sure that you have a very cohesive sounding presentation, and you're able to answer most, if not all, of the questions that you would be asked by any media person.
That's right. That's right. And one other suggestion I would make, and it's golden and it's international, is Toastmasters. If you haven't heard about Toastmasters, it's a speaking platform and there's clubs all over the world. And getting involved with Toastmasters is beautiful because, one, it's inexpensive and you get massive training from your peers and you learn how to get rid of those ums, ahs, so's, and repeating words and all of those things that get in our way. It's just a beautiful way to learn. So I highly recommend looking up on the internet, your local Toastmasters, and getting involved and really honing your skill base.
That is where I learned that. And it is invaluable. It's invaluable to have someone, even if all you do is have someone sit with you and count.
Yes.
That's the exercise they do. Count every time you say and, so, all of those things that
That's
we
right.
repeat. And if you do that once or twice, you start to hear them. And I hear them so much now. And I hear it on professional television speakers, presenters, the news, interviewers, everybody. And it drives me absolutely batty.
That's the drawback, right?
Every other word drives me nuts.
That's the drawback, right, Vicki? You become hyper aware.
Yes, absolutely.
It's like seeing red cars once you have one, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
It's interesting.
I started seeing Teslas now.
Yeah, I have had a little bit of a reframe on this thing, because at the end of the day, that's also downloading information. And so as I've gotten older, I started to realize that, you know what, I need more time to download the information. And I am in that mode where I'm like, how many of these us have I said right now? But I think I still present well, even with those. That said, I'd like to say a great big thank you to Lynette for being with us here today and reviewing what her masterclass is going to be all about. And we're talking about April 15th, but if you're watching this later, it's also just going to the uncommonpr.net website and signing up. It just takes 2 seconds. Go ahead and say a final thought, Lynette, and we'll wrap up this particular part of our presentation.
A final thought for all of you is don't be afraid and don't feel bad anymore when you feel like you're struggling to be seen, because you're not alone. There's so many of us that feel invisible in the marketplace we serve. And that's so much of what I do is I put my heart and soul into it, because your success is my success. And it means so much to me to see those lights come on and see the joy that comes from settling into your expertise and being that go-to for the media over time.
Well, those are great parting words. Thank you so much for joining us here today, Lynette. It's been so great to have you.
Thank you.
Last but not least, just again, go to uncommonpr.net and learn how to get visibility quickly, efficiently, that ignites profitability and ultimately increasing inbound leads that convert. Join Lynette for the 3 uncommon ways to boost visibility and profitability without pulling out your hair or losing your mind on her masterclass, April 15th. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us here today. And next up, I'm going to be talking a little bit about how to participate in the summit. That's the WeEmpowerYourLife.com website summit, which is on June the 8th coming up. And I'm so excited to say we're going to actually do a little bit of a hybrid, because it's going to be my birthday. We're going to do some of this live and in person, and I can't wait to have you all back. Thank you, everyone, for joining us here today, as we are going to take a pause for just 1 second while I queue up some information about the summit. Thank you, Lynette. It's great to have had you. Okay. Give me 1 second here as I am going to share with you more details about the upcoming We Empower You Global Virtual Summit. And the first thing I wanted to say is share with you is a short video clip about the summit. And that is just up here. Let me expand here the sound. Just give me 1 second. And here we go.
Coaching is a noble profession, but in these current tumultuous times, so many talented coaches are finding that they simply cannot connect with people that they could be helping. And people need our help more than ever these days. That is why I conceived the We Empower You Global Community and Global Virtual Summit. I'm Bettina Carey, and I'm inviting you to join with some of the world's leading empowerment coaches, trainers, authors, mentors, and thought leaders for our upcoming We Empower You Global Virtual Summit. There's an old adage and saying that goes, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. It is in that spirit of togetherness that we aim to help connect more talented coaches to the people that they might help. Join us for free and share your knowledge in this Find Wealth by Giving endeavor. And there isn't a hidden fee or big sales pitch at the end. You will be shoulder to shoulder with some of the world's best thought leaders, newsmakers, and game changers. And you will see for yourself exactly what the We Empower You global community and membership is all about. It's a blend of altruism and business, to be sure. This endeavor is audacious, and we hope to plant seeds that take deep roots. So we need you. If you have a goal of helping others reach and achieve that next rung, if your work aids in lifting people out of self-limiting beliefs, if you're ready to fix the world one client at a time, or spread your message to the masses, you're welcome to join us for our We Empower You Global Summit. Tickets are free, but RSVP is required. Scan the QR code if you're watching on TV, or go to our website at weempoweryourlife.com and click on the Summit Tickets tab to get more information and to claim your free Zoom admission ticket. We empower you. Together we will go
All right,
far.
and to get your free tickets, you're going to want to go to weempoweryourlife.com, click on the Summit Ticket tab, and get your free ticket. But you must RSVP, as I said earlier. So with that said, I'd like to go ahead and put us on gallery mode and welcome everybody back to the question and answers, because I would love to open it up to questions about the We Empower You community, to teach you a little bit more about what it is we do here, and would love to answer any questions. We have Marcella, who goes by Chella, who's here with us today. She is a brand new member to the Just Say Yes program, as Princess Wakigo also is a new member. And I would love to have you open up your mic, ask questions. Others can ask questions as well. And here we go. Chella, you're up first.
Well, hello. So I was thinking today, after this, that I was going to do some recording at home and just start playing with it. And so I was just going to turn the camera on, and I was going to do some Kung Fu and then see what comes out of my mouth in regards to my expression about my work, and go from there and send that off to you and just get feedback and just get that process started.
Yes, and we have with us today Aggie Clark, who's a member, as I mentioned, also our consultant, CFO and COO. And Aggie, what advice would you give to Chella here that is the place to start? What to do next? You've done this before. You're an old hat at it. Give us your ideas.
Yeah, thanks. So I think it depends on what your goal is. I love the idea of getting in front of the camera. I mean, it's so easy now with all of our Zoom. We can record ourselves and then see what we look like and how we're coming across. Yeah. And even share recordings with trusted advisors, trusted mentors, and friends to give that type of feedback. It's a lot easier than it used to be. So I think that's a great idea. I mean, what are you hoping to do with that? So you record yourself, you like things, you don't like things, you swap it up. What goal do you have then next? What are you looking to do?
Yeah.
Well, what I'm looking to do is to get prospects for my self-care program. So it's a really interesting, unique methodology that I've created over years of practice of Kung Fu and my studies of, health and wellness. And so when I see people, a lot of times, like it just starts coming as far as like, oh, this would be helpful, or they start to share a little bit about their lifestyle of what they have to do all the time, and creating self-care so that can be as healthy for them as possible. At the age of automation, everyone's sitting all the time. There's just a lot of ways that we can do these things better so that we maintain our health. So that's what I'm looking for. And it's more of an in-home service. Some of it can be online as well, depending on what the person is able to do. So I'm able to do that. And so that's where I'm at today. And I'm also writing some coursework since I have taught classes for massage therapy. I just started writing that, revamping that recently with a new course.
Oh, that sounds great. So you have a ton of opportunities, and just with what you said, I mean, as a new member, you have access to the new website. So creating videos with some snippets about what you do and how it helps people, to give people that taste of what they can do better. You can create your own videos or get some help doing it, but posting those on, and as Lee tells us, that creates more traffic for the website. So you've got that as a great opportunity. In your shoes, I might ask Bettina if I could do a 20-minute session during one of the Wednesday meetings where I did a something that would help people, whether it's an exercise or, give a little chat about that, or something that would help people, showing what you do. And again, she's recording it. So now you've got another video that you can post on your YouTube channel, on your Facebook, on your other social media, that helps to kind of continue to create that buzz. Now we go to Lynette, and what you're doing is you're helping people, and they're healthier and they're feeling better. That's newsworthy. When people find a way that's easy, that they can do in their home, that that doesn't seem super intimidating, that to help themselves feel better. Now you've got something newsworthy that you can create that type of buzz with the media. And there's different types of shows on radio or television that are really focused on that type of work. So then finding those in the media, there are the influencers in those areas, and getting your message out to them. So you start to create more buzz, because you're bringing this great value to individuals. And then hopefully the referrals would get started, and you would see some business grow. But you've got great content there. The other thing I would look at is sponsorship. If you're holding a class, let's say, I don't know if you do it only individually or with a group, but let's say you do have a group program, perhaps a health and wellness type of an organization would sponsor a class, and then obviously they would get featured as, this class to do this type of work is sponsored by ABC Wellness. And of course, it needs to be somebody that aligns with your values and the values of what you're doing. But that's a win-win. You get some funding for what you're doing, and they get to get their products and services also in front of people who are highly likely to be clients or consumers.
Yes, and it could be a vitamin water. It could be a specialty tea that everybody gets when they finish their coursework with you, and you're sharing the product with a group or something like that. Lynette, you probably will agree, and you might have some ideas yourself, but hasn't everyone since COVID gained about 10 to 15 or 20 pounds?
I can't imagine that they haven't.
This is the news right now.
Yeah, I can't imagine that they haven't. I know I have. So I think it's really important to do a lot of consumption. And what I mean by that is consume the media, make it time every day, whether it's a half hour or 20 minutes or an hour, and consume media. So that means doing your searches online, seeing who's writing about what, read their information, or if there's a daytime show that talks a lot about lifestyle issues or lifestyle in general, then you want to watch that program and see what happens, see what kind of people they interview. And if you see a fit and you think that you might be of value, and that's the key. It's not just about us. It's not just about what we want to have out there in the media, but it's what we can provide as a value for those different types of media. So if you're seeing a fit for your story for them, then you have more power in your step.
Yes, and you might come up with a program that is specific to the 18 pounds that America or the world gained during COVID, because I need about a 3-week program just to lose the last 5 that I gained. But I was up by about 18 pounds. I'm not kidding you. And it's taken a while to get it off. So if you have a solution, if you have a package that you could create, and then you lined up with a sponsor like Aggie's talking about, and then you've got a nice press release and you've got your press package together, you could end up opening up a whole lot of doors. And by the way, I can't do this. I can't teach anybody how to lose weight. I can barely do it myself.
Well, and there's another piece to consider, and that's the fact that who does Kung Fu to lose weight? I don't know anybody. So there's a lot of there's a lot of education going on there, which is exciting.
Right.
Yeah.
What I love about the Kung Fu so much is what I see people lose a lot is a mind-body connection on how to walk with the field of gravity. And so that is part of the roots of the practice. And it's one of the best physical therapies you could ever do for your body. And you can do it for a really long time, you know, and so I can do this now, and I'll be doing these practices until I move on, and then hopefully come back in and start doing the same work. So that's what's great about it, is the methodology that I'm creating is very approachable, and it's very powerful. And so it's just creating a much deeper relationship with the sensitivity throughout your body. Sometimes everybody's just stuck up in here so much that they can hardly feel their body or what's going on. Or you may ask them to do an exercise, and their connection to their body, just that communication just needs to wake up.
Yeah. And, you know, I think what you're talking about is something that can be done indoors, right?
Yeah.
So for those fair weather people out there like me who don't want to get out and get in the rain and do exercise, or for folks who are actually homebound and they really aren't able to get out for whatever reason, because there's a pandemic or whatever the reason, you've got a solution, again, that I cannot do. So I wouldn't be able to open this door for myself, but you can open it for yourself. And somebody like Lynette, take her program on the 15th, you'll be able to learn and grow in a way that you might not otherwise. And of course, Lynette has offerings beyond that as well. So thank you.
You know, that my biggest intimidation, excuse me here. There we go. My biggest, and it's just because it's new, like for instance, Bettina, I have this great website that started, and Lee started it for me, and now it's about branding it and making it mine. And I opened that, and because, you know, I feel the knowledge I have towards that feels so small that it's just there, you know, and I need to make this thing work for me and have people see me. And I'm struggling a little bit as far as doing that entirely on my own until I get my feet wet a little bit more. You know, I know what I want on the site, which is content and video and, you know, writing, or a simple exercise that someone might be able to just take with them right there and there, or one thing that, you know, they bring to their awareness throughout their day that could support them. So right now the idea is like branding that website. That's a part of this package.
And video is a very strong element, as Aggie has mentioned. You can get a lot more bandwidth with producing video. Like literally, we're on Zoom right now. I've got us on the gallery mode. I was on the speaker mode before. I had two of us spotlighted. There's so much production value that you can use just on Zoom alone, and never mind the iPhone or whatever phone you got.
It's like this stuff, like everyone's saying Zoom, which I have, you know, and so, and I just got a new computer, and I'm just like, yo, use my iPhone. No way. Use the Zoom. It's got all these features. And so it's just
Yeah.
a lot of new learning.
Yeah. But again, the cell phone is fine too. If you know how to use a cell phone better than you know how to use Zoom, then use the cell phone, for gosh sakes.
It's
I
questionable.
mean, the other thing is, you don't have to end up with perfection. And I know as a woman, I tend to lean towards perfectionism, but it's totally out the door as far as I'm concerned. At the end of the day, people have learned to even watch international and national news while people are in their basements, in their closets, in their studies, anywhere on the planet. And, you know, the kids are walking behind them, or the cat crawls across their desk. So you don't have to reach any more perfection than those folks. And they're getting paid the big bucks to do it. So
Right.
drop the perfectionism, just go out there and produce some videos. You'll be glad you did. Go do Facebook Live. That's another great opportunity that's just sitting there on everybody's phone. Get your following going, you know, get some introductions. I mean, we teach the third week of every month. We teach 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. And we do this in order to give folks the opportunity to create their 5-minute spotlight. So plan to do that. Diane Beal joined about 2 months ago now on February 22nd or thereabouts. And she ended up now has her 5-minute spotlight video done several times over, because she was perfecting it. And during that process, she ended up getting invited to MC. She got invited to be a guest on my radio show. She is, of course, she also got to present that 5-minute spotlight on the summit. Then she ended up speaking for 5 minutes. So literally, it's just get started. Don't make it bigger than it is. I mean, it's just like 5 minutes at a time, you know, just like Lynette said, you know, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, just one bite at a time, one day at a time, not the big enchilada, or you'll go crazy.
Great advice, Bettina. That is great advice, because if you think of, I'm going to do a video for my website, just do one. You know, you're not doing the whole website. Just do one thing. And will you think that it's the best thing that you could ever do? No. You know, because it's the first one, but then build on it the same way that your clients would build on learning a kung fu move and learning how to take care of themselves better. And they don't know everything right at the beginning, right? But they have to take a little baby step, one at a time. So just try something. Just try something, and then build on that, and try one more thing.
And really, it's the showing up and doing it. So for example, Diane didn't have the benefit of taking the 1 week, 5-day course that we teach. I just gave her the instructions, and I said, 5 minutes, here's your story, here's some suggestions, start here, move there, this is an arc, you know, this, that, and the other. And she watched the video, which is, by the way, on the website. So when you join as a Just Say Yes member, you end up with, here, let me see if I can get to my screen. You end up with a templated website. And then that templated website you can build upon, so that way you're not starting from scratch. We don't want anybody to start from a zero, nothing, nada kind of website. So that's why we give you a basic approach, and then you modify it from there. So this Just Say Yes membership is on the website, and you have 14 templates that you can choose from. And we created this Just Say Yes program because we wanted people not to get all blocked up with money issues, and just to say yes, join the membership. It's $1,599 a year. Take 30 to 60 to 90 days to find 2 members that will join, paid full up, and then your membership is paid for. So then there's 14 different templates that you can scroll through and choose from. And then once you've chosen, you can just start loading up content into this and making it and branding it more like yours. So I'm not sure which one you ended up choosing, but it doesn't really matter about that. But definitely take the time to do that. And then once you're a member, you actually get to log into the member login. And this is one step I would tell you to make, Chella. And that is to
Okay.
go behind the scenes. This is where all the goodies are. And right here is this 6-minute or less video on how to write your short story. This is a little over an hour video called Finding Joe, and it's about the hero's journey. And watch both of those and just start writing a story and record it once, record it twice, 3 times, 4 times, until you feel confident enough that you have a polished enough version, and just share it on your Facebook, share it on your LinkedIn, other social media platforms, and of course, put it on your website. So start there, the login, if you need it, I'll go ahead and give that to you privately, because this is a closed door for non-members, but it is open to all the members.
I know. And, it's just kind of amazing. I've been getting up earlier, and it's just amazing. I'm getting up earlier, and the whole day is going from the morning till night so fast. And I'm just like, okay, so I got done what I thought I was going to get done. I'm trying to get, accomplishing 3 things a day is the goal. And, working with the things that seem very easy to me, like writing my course content is easy for me. I enjoy that. The videos, or even uploading a video onto that website. Now that sounds like a big deal. That sounds
like
to
a
me.
Lee phone call, because what we say is if you are spending more than 2 to 3 minutes doing anything on the back end of the website, call Lee on Skype and she will give you the answer lickety split. You'll be out of there in no time. Everything in that website is really a piece of cake. We discovered that, right, Aggie, after working on our sites. It's so easy. In the beginning, it may look hard, but it's actually a piece of cake. So we don't want you spending 15, 20, 30 minutes or an hour, anything along those lines, trying to do anything with the website. If it's taken you 2 minutes, that's too long. Get on the horn and call Lee or I, and we will help you walk you through anything.
Great.
And
yes, and so I'm working too. Just with that block, so like this idea, like I don't know where I'm trying to remember the day where it happened, where I chose like, oh yeah, I don't need all of those things, and here we are again, and so where it is of tremendous value and is one of the best ways that we can communicate with people and the world. And so I would enjoy participating in that and sharing myself more.
Yes. Lynette, you seem to have another point here. Go ahead.
Actually, I was just nodding into the conversation, but I did want to add one thing on these sites. Is there a blog?
There can be any form of blogging. We have video. We have a video page on the We Empower You. Literally, there is almost nothing that you can't do on this site. It has 10 revenue strategies. In addition, all the landing pages. Lee has templates for everything. So if you want to have a blog on your page, on your site, all you need to say, hey, Lee, I need a blog on my site, and bam, a few seconds later, provided it's during the weekday, she'll get it to you.
Great. I will write down some goals that I would like to see on my website, and then I'll reach out to you or Lee.
Yes.
Start knocking them off one by one.
Yes, thank you. And Diane just happened to pop in. Diane, I raised your hand. I'm going to ask you to unmute. Your ears must be burning because we were talking about you earlier.
Actually, I was on Facebook Live, so I was there.
Fantastic. You were there.
And I sent you a message saying thank you for several shout outs during the course of this meeting. So
that's what we do here.
Yeah. The reason that I raised my hand is I have a wonderful opportunity. I have formed my Facebook group, and I'm wanting to do several things. One, I want to launch my mentoring practice, but I also want to build a community. because it's about women supporting one another. And that's why it's been such a joy to participate with you in the launching of The Niche, because we've just been able to reach around the world and support other women. And as most of you know, I work with women 50 plus who are finding their niche, who are launching a new chapter in their life. And what I want to do is to build a sense of collaboration and community in my Facebook group. So I have invited several people, Bettina included, to do some interviews so that we can become better acquainted with one another. And then I think we'll be much more engaged in sharing within that community. My question, however, is I want to technically be sure that I'm doing this right. And Bettina, I know that you are the subject matter expert here. I'm thinking that I can record the interviews in Zoom, and then I can simply upload the MP4 file to the Facebook page, and then it would be evergreen for any current member or new member to view those interviews on demand. And I just want to be sure that I've got the technology right. Is that all that I need to do?
I highly advise that path, because once you produce, say, a Facebook Live and you put it on a, say, private group, then it can't be shared out of the private group. And the only way to share it is to download the MP4 and then load it up into, so I always produce on Zoom recording, and then if I want to share it on any other groups, I can. So yes, you totally got the step right. And the other thing is, just a little reminder for those also watching out there, is that when you post, it's either Facebook Live is one of the highest ranked postings, a video, an MP4 video, a photo, those are all ranked higher. YouTube videos, however, unless they're like they're running wild virally, they're going to be downgraded. So it's best to put the MP4 up, not the YouTube video. So I put YouTube videos on LinkedIn, but I don't put them on Facebook because they are head-to-head competitors. And so they will downgrade a YouTube video as fast as you can, you barely can, it will barely get viewed by anybody. So yes, you got it right.
Okay, thank you for that confirmation.
Absolutely.
My next question is scheduling. I currently have 5 people who have said yes. And I'm just astounded because I just sent it out this morning and I already have these responses. But how do you go about scheduling your interviews?
Well, one thing I will tell you is that I would suggest that you have a form that people complete. And I have a form for both the summit and for the for my radio show, because otherwise it gets really all over the map as far as how people submit their content to you. So I use Google Docs, and I have a form that folks can apply to speak. I'll share it with you right now so that you will have it. And in there, I have all of the questions that I want to have asked and answered. And some of them are required questions, and some of them are not. And I require a 50-word bio, for example, and I share an example so that they can see how it will be used. And that's Brian Gregory, one of our affiliates. And I have questions about where they live and their logo, uploading their logo and things like that. So this is a really, really easy program to just go into the forms feature of the Google Docs and create your own form. You can add questions, you can have pictures, you can have videos. Each of these questions have like I can add a section, I can add a question here, I can move it around if I want to. And I can import questions. So this is a really great format to use, and it streamlines your process. So I have 8 responses just for the last couple of weeks that have to do with the summit that are all here. When I click here, there's a spreadsheet that tells me who all has submitted. And then there's a folder with all of their photos with their logos and their photos. So it's way easier to manage. Step number one is creating this form before you invite people to start sending you information, or you're going to get overwhelmed with admin duties. I kid you not.
Yes. I
the
remember
next-
completing that form. So experientially,
Yes.
I know the value of that information.
Yeah, and what I don't have in here, but I will be having in my my Shattering the Glass Ceiling radio show, are typical questions that I might ask and invite to share a Shattering the Glass Ceiling moment, or any questions like that. I also just finished creating, thanks to my working with Lynette, a little bit more constructive reply to things that they need to know when coming on the stage for the actual radio show. We've had that in place for the summit for many months, but now this is now in place for the radio show as well. So having a full detail of frequently asked questions, or here's what you do, here's what you need to know, so that everybody that's signing up has a general idea of what they need to do when they're actually participating in the show. Now, I realized when I booked Lynette on this particular show that I do not have a form for this show, and I do not have, therefore, a list of instructions to send in the next weeks here as I start to invite more and more people to the We Empower You afternoon show on Wednesdays. So that's something else I can suggest. Did I give you enough detail there, Diane?
What I'm really interested in is when, for example, just before the summit, you do some interviews with the speakers. How do you schedule those? Do you schedule several on one day, or?
Because I have so many that I do, it's really more like I just block out almost all of my time for the last 2 weeks of before the summit. And that's all I do. I might get 3 done in a day, 4 done in a day, 1 done in a day. It just depends. So I don't really have a scheduling,
Okay.
but for booking my, say, my office hours, I would use a Calendly, and I have a Calendly that I do from 7 to 9 a.m. during the weeks that are before the summit. I don't typically wake up at 7, and I mean, I'm not typically on camera at 7 in the morning. But during that 2 weeks, I also will schedule. So if anybody wants to actually schedule a time, I have a very specific window of time on Calendly. My entire calendar is not on Calendly, only these specific windows. And so when I give out that link, I know they're going to pick between those 2 hours, and that's it. I'm not going to open up my entire schedule to Calendly, because that's insane. I've got too many incoming calendar changes that go on all day long for me to do that. But I would highly recommend pick a time of day. Like when I do the radio show, it's on Thursday at 1:30, and at 1, I have to be there at 1:15. So I literally have that time completely blocked out. And I know that's my radio show day. On Wednesdays, this is my Wednesday show day. And that's all I do during that time period. And that's been, 52 weeks out of the year, pretty much, where I'm either doing a summit or a show, radio show, or this show. And it just works out better to have it all booked in, as if you were doing just imagine yourself, Diane, a year from now, and you've got 52 shows in the can. You want to make sure that that time frame is locked in solid, that it's always the same time of day, this day of the week, and it runs like it's a circuit, and it just goes and goes and goes and goes.
That's how
Otherwise,
we can be
it's all over the
productive.
place.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a good thing for you.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, having a structure, I think, is so important
Yes,
for being productive.
And
Yeah.
then the other thing too is beginning with the end in mind. Most people just start out with a show, and they don't conceive of distribution. They don't conceive of having a producer involved or any admin involved. So one of the things, having started with a producer, but not really addressing the distribution until now, I would say the reverse is true. I want to know what my distribution is going to be of my show before I start out venturing into producing content, because obviously eventually you'll be distributing. So what does that look like? Well, we're going to be in the business of that here coming up in May. We'll be launching a new program for our members that they can buy into. And that's where we will be booking you on podcast guesting. We'll be doing your PR, and we're going to partner up and dovetail with Lynette. And we're going to be offering distribution services so that you can get your podcast out there into the wider audiences.
Okay, that's really impressive. Last question has to do with Facebook Lives. Where can I find more information about how to connect, like what you're doing now? We're on Zoom, but also Facebook Live.
Well, you can always just call me, and when we talk next, I'll go over it with you, how to actually do it. It's a lot easier than it looks. And
okay.
Yes, it's pretty easy. When you're the host of the show, just real briefly, you'll have a more button, and the more button will allow you to go ahead and choose to go on Facebook Live and or YouTube, which is another option, or there's other mediums that you can go on to, and then you click on which one you want to go to. You brand it, with a title, description, and then you hit the record button. And what I found, by the way, is just start talking as soon as you hit the button. Don't wait for any feedback from Facebook or YouTube. It literally starts recording before you start to see it anywhere going on. So, but I'll practice that with you for sure when we talk next.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your questions, Diane. And I know CL King is out there. I want to say hello, CL. He was one of my first podcast interviews that I was participating on, and he's been a co-host for the summit. And I really just love that guy. He's out there doing such great work for the youth of America. And Lynette, do you know CL?
Nope.
Another comment. Okay, go ahead.
I wanted to ask you when you go live from Zoom or using Zoom to stream live into Facebook, how do you avoid an echo?
The only way you have an echo that I understand anyway is if you have two audios going at the same time. So you have to turn one of the audios off. So depending on if you're running other equipment, like when I did the Princess emceeing, I actually had two devices going simultaneously. One was to be looking in the camera, and the other one had I was producing. I was sharing the slides and the videos and things like that. So if you have two devices, whether that's a telephone or a cell phone rather, or another laptop or desktop, you're going to have to turn one of the volumes off. Otherwise, you'll hear a singing or an echoing sound. The other thing, echoing can actually also be caused by your laptop volume being up too high. So I always have my audio coming out of my Yeti mic and not my laptop mic.
Ah, okay, that's it.
Yeah.
So then, because if I'm coming from my laptop or my desktop, then I need to turn off the speaker for audio on my desktop.
Yeah. And practice makes perfect, right? So practice with somebody else who can hear you, because we had that happen last week with, when I was using a brand new computer and I wasn't sure if my audio was working. So I wanted to check that.
Got it.
Good question.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks. I'm pretty sure that Princess Kigo might have a question or two here, if she can unmute. And
I had a quick question, and that is how to connect with Diane on this group that she's putting together.
Yes, let's put that group on the chat. I can do that for her.
Oh, it's up there already.
Actually,
She already put it up.
I put it in the chat.
You put it in the
Thank
chat.
you.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Great.
Thank you
you.
for the inquiry.
Love it. I love the connections that we're having. We might be a small group tonight, but we definitely have some connections both here and on Facebook that are really, really great. Princess Kigo,
Yes.
what's your question today?
Actually, today I'm just listening in and learning quite a bit. But what I want to say is that after the session, I'll try those Zoom clicks for my website. And apart from that, for my other events that I'll be doing, even though I'm camera shy, I'm sure Bettina will not agree to that. But I'll try and produce some 1 minute or 2 minutes video to advertise the programs on EPVWN network.
Yes, yes. And one thing that I will share with you is I edit my videos. Once I've produced say a Facebook Live or a YouTube Live, then I will go in using YouTube. I will go in and make some quick edits, which that's a whole nother topic for a different day that I can dive into a little bit more thoroughly. And that way, you know, if I am not starting out correctly in the very beginning, I can always just start all over again and then edit out the first, you know, mistake or whatever, or misstep. And
Yes.
if I cough or sneeze, or, you know, I had, while I was doing your show, I had a vase that has been standing in this corner for 8.5 years and has never, ever moved, fell down while I was introducing somebody the other day. And so if I had thought about it, I might have just started all over again just to eliminate that sound. But I can go back in, record an audio file completely as if nothing had happened, drop the audio file into the entire thing, and nobody's going to know one thing or another about that thing that fell down. I don't know why. We didn't have any earthquakes that I know of, but it just went whoop.
Yeah. So I also have a son who is a YouTube blogger who is
there you
hands-on
go. Editor,
editing,
just like
but then I have to lobby him and and give him some enticement for him to create time to do my jobs for me. But yeah, I'm ready to venture into the next level of, you know, sometimes it's quite difficult for me to talk about myself in that light. So that's something I want to learn, because I'm always used to talking for others.
Yes, Lynette would have a lot to say about that, right? Talking about ourselves is so much more challenging than talking about other people.
Yeah.
And
so I want to learn how I'll talk about myself and it doesn't come across as name dropping or exaggerations, or, you know, how do you package your accomplishments in such a way that it's not rebuffal to others, you know, they can accept it in good faith.
Yes. We like to shamelessly market without aggrandizement or whatever that word is.
Yeah. So I think that's what keeps me back from trying to share my achievements, because I've had once or twice that is quite intimidating, and so that really gave me a drawback in wanting to introduce myself. So I just used 2 or 3 sentences. But from the first session we had, listening to the speaker, it means then I'm doing a disservice to myself, because that's not all about me, and people are actually not getting to know the full extent of who I am. So
yeah,
you know,
Lynette might have some comments on this, but let me just start by saying many women have such humility about their role in the world that they don't brag enough about themselves, and it costs them in the long run, because if you don't do it, who's going to do it, right? And so on the one hand, you don't want to sound like you're bragging, so to speak, just like, hey, look at me, how wonderful I am. So you want to position it in such a way that it's not about that. But if we don't brag about ourselves on some level, you know, we're leaving money on the table, truly money on the table.
Yeah, I would say part of what brings humility to that particular document you're talking about is stay away from the word I. Some people will say, I do this and I do that, and it ends up being the word I twice in every sentence. So if you leave that out, and especially you never start it with I, you might say something like, in my career, I have done, or since 1994, since 2010, I have been involved in. And part of it is to speak from the heart. If we come from our heart in who we are and who stepping into being powerful and loving and committed, then it comes across differently. So it really also depends on your mindset when you're doing that writing. And you'll find that all of a sudden those I words and the superlatives, or not superlatives, but adjectives, I am a powerful, wonderful, exciting woman, is a little too much. But if you said, since 2010, I have been empowering women, so not you, but women, to do XYZ, and follow that with a descriptive sentence about how you do that. So again, coming from the heart will help you to feel much better about writing about yourself or what it is that you do. And also focusing from the do perspective versus the how marvelous I am perspective really helps.
Great advice. Absolutely agree with you entirely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right.
So
go ahead.
Is it right to say then that we need to learn the right terminology in describing who we are? Because from what I've heard you said, it's the choice of words, the semantics that sends the message that our listener hear. So we need to improve, or we need to create a terminology that is softer to the ears of our listeners.
Yes, and I would say after you write it out, and I like the fact that you said 3 sentences, I would write it out and share it with some of your team here, with these wonderful women. Share it and see how it resonates. Share it with Bettina. I'm certain that she would be able to come back and say, leave this word out and maybe include this in your sentence, or perhaps this might not work as well. And really lean on others to help you be true of heart. That helps a lot.
Okay. So, Bettina, you have an assignment now. Let's work on my bio.
May I add something here?
Yeah.
May I add something here?
Yes.
Yeah, please.
One of the things that I have found helpful is to have, as you said, Lynette, several readers, because when I've been refining my content, some persons are very literal, and the way in which they interpret may be very different than what I intended. But by getting multiple perspectives from multiple personalities and associates, I'm able to be sure that my message is reaching a broader range. And also noting that there are different learning styles and different intelligences, so including visuals, so including exercises and kinesthetic things that people can do in some of my activities has been so helpful for engaging the various traits that are in my strategic audience, my target audience.
You're absolutely right, Diane, to include many people on the one hand, make sure you have enough of a broad enough audience, while at the same time not having it be too much information, right? Because the tendency for folks is to continue to be perfectionistic in their nature and then never get anything done. So I would say limit it also to, probably 5 or 6 people that represent a broad perspective. And that way you don't get into that trap of getting ready to get ready, because that is a definite quicksand.
Absolutely. And I come from a background of being an instructional designer, a trainer, and a teacher. So,
Yeah.
so much of that is ingrained in my DNA to do that kind of front end analysis, because my experience is if you don't do it up front, it's going to catch you on the back end.
Yes, that's true. Absolutely. And there are a lot of different learning styles. So Princess, you can rely on Diane to also take a look at your content as well.
Okay.
Oh,
Thank
I'd
you.
be happy to do that. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you everyone for participating. Are there any final questions or thoughts out there? Any closing thoughts, our speaker, Lynette?
Yes, Angie asked me a question about the recommended word count and what information should be sure to be included to make a journalist's job easier in writing a press release. And I let her know, just to bring this out from the chat, that it depends on what it is you're trying to get accomplished with the press release and making the journalist's job easier. If it's an event, you want to include the 5 W's, who, what, when, where, and why, and have a compelling headline that drives them to read further. And I'll be giving more information on this, like I say, in the masterclass, but also your word count is 300 words. So I would think in terms of as being as succinct as possible in giving them information they need that they will find compelling to want to reach out to you and learn more.
Yes, thank you very much for that. Well, I like to say that this is one of my favorite opportunities that we've had so far. And of course, I always get to hear from Aggie as to whether that's true or not, but by the smile on her face, I think she agrees. Thank you, Lynette, for being our guest today. Thank you, everyone, for joining us and asking these really wonderful questions. The audience out there on Facebook Live. And for those of you who are going to be watching on YouTube, again, join Lynette Hoy on April the 15th, going forward on her masterclass. Uncommonpr.net is where you're going to want to sign up. And to join us on these We Empower You global virtual meetings, as well as our global virtual summit, you're going to want to go to weempoweryourlife.com and click on the Wednesday meeting under our calendar tab, or go to Summit Tickets and get your free Summit ticket. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here today. It's been wonderful to have you.
Bye for now. Thank you.